Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Boise Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We are a spiritually diverse, justice-seeking religious community proclaiming the power of love at the core of our living tradition. Love of neighbor, love for ourselves, and love for our planet. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. However you identify, whomever you love, you are welcome here. Whatever faiths you have known, if any, whatever doubts you carry, you are welcome here. I'm the Reverend Sara LaWall. I use she, her pronouns. It is my great honor to serve this beloved community as your minister. I'm joined today by Rob Ham, who is serving as our celebrant. We're so glad that you have joined us today. I want to take a moment to welcome our online community, those worshiping by Zoom. Let's turn and wave at our cameras over there. And of course, Zoomers, you know, we invite you to turn on your cameras if you're able for a moment so we can see your beautiful faces here in our space and welcome you among us this morning. Good morning, Terry Kay and Diane. Good morning, Rebecca. It's so great to have all of you joining us this morning. A special welcome to our newcomers among us. I met a few of you as you walked in the door this morning. We know it takes a lot of courage to check out a new community, and we're so glad that you have chosen us this morning. We invite you to introduce yourselves to us during our hospitality time after the service if you're here in person, and in our chat if you're joining us online so that we can warmly welcome you. We invite you to fill out our newcomer cards in our entryways, and we'll post a link in the chat so that we can keep you up to date with all that is happening here in our fellowship. And we run a series for newcomers called the Inquirers Series, which is beginning next Sunday after services, and it's a series designed to introduce our newcomers to our fellowship and to Unitarian Universalism, so we hope you'll join us for that. I have a few quick announcements that I want to share with the whole community. A reminder that today, right after worship, we are gathering together in the North Wing for an RE Visioning Lunch for our religious exploration program. Children, youth, families, volunteers, anyone interested in thinking and talking about the future of our religious exploration program is invited to join us. And we have a special announcement about our auction from Jim Gettings.
Good morning, everyone. As Sarah said, my name is Jim Gettings. I'm a member of this year's auction committee. Yes, the auction is back after a 2-year vacation. That's right, it's time to have some fun. All right, I like it. The theme of the auction this year is Spring into Action, with you-know-who getting inaugurated tomorrow. There has never been a better time to do so. Fortunately, whether we are within these walls or outside these walls, springing into action is what we do best. We are gearing up to plant some more seeds with the upcoming auction, and there'll be a celebratory dinner scheduled for the evening of March 1st. Outside of our annual giving drive, the auction is our biggest fundraiser of the year. This year's exciting silent and live auctions will be conducted both online and in person. The final piece will be held after the celebratory dinner, which will be the special appeal. So the auction benefits the booth operating fund. Money from the operating fund pays our wonderful staff and keeps this beloved place running. In addition, a separate special appeal is designed to help fund either a designated project here at Booth or in our broader community. Sometimes the focus is not very sexy. Can you say that in church? Yeah. Like raising funds to purchase the $7,000 commercial dishwasher that's back in our kitchen today. During our last auction, the proceeds of the special appeal helped fund several social action initiatives in our community. The target of this year's special appeal will be announced in February. There are plenty of ways for you to participate. Help us with any kind of donation. Be creative. Donate your services by offering to host a dinner or provide some other fun and/or educational experience that others would enjoy. Do you own vacation property that sits vacant sometimes? Help us by donating a week to the auction. You could also just buy a gift card from your favorite local restaurant or retail store and donate it. Do you have something collecting dust and you think someone else might like to have it? Well, donate it. You can also help with the event itself. Help us prepare food for the dinner. Help us with the logistical details of the auction itself. Help us with the setup and/or cleanup before and after the dinner. Right now, though, all you need to do is save the date. Don't get too excited. Save the date of the auction and the dinner the evening of March 1st. Details will be coming soon in the Booth Gazette, on Facebook, and other ways of reaching you starting next week. Go auction. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Those of you who've been here a while know you know that I love the auction. I think it ignites a little bit of my competitive spirit, but all for a worthy cause. How many of you have walked away from the auction with something amazing? Yeah, lots of you. It's really amazing things that you can walk away from. How many of you have attended a dinner and had amazing food and met amazing new people because you bid on it at the auction? Yes. So please, we hope that you will solicit gifts, donate gifts, and then, of course, attend and bid on the auction. You can bid against yours truly. This congregation is very competitive, too. You are not deferential to your minister when it comes to the auction, but that's okay. I like it that way. Each week, we open our worship service centering ourselves by lighting our flaming chalice, a symbol of our free faith, a beacon of hope, love, and justice. We light our chalice in solidarity with thousands of other Unitarian Universalists lighting chalices today in communities and churches, reminding us we are connected to a great community of faith and love. As we light our chalice here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you in our virtual community to light a chalice or a candle if you have one nearby, and then share in the chat where it is you have lit your chalice this morning. Today is a complicated day. I think Jim gave a nod to it. Tomorrow, even more so. Tomorrow is a day when this country honors one of the greatest change makers and movement builders of our time, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a man whose life was violently ended because of his deep convictions that this country could be a land of inclusion, freedom, and rights for all people. And yet, tomorrow, this country will also inaugurate the next president who stands in absolute opposition to Dr. King's vision of a country of freedom for all. A man who chooses violence and promotes hate, who seeks to destroy democracy and targets marginalized people, our beloveds. We've already heard his plans to begin those targeted attacks against our immigrant community on his first day in office. And so many of us are scared and frustrated and searching for ways we can respond and help be of service and resist following the vision of Dr. King. But it will be hard. It will be a difficult, painful, overwhelming 4 years, there is no doubt. But please let us remember we have each other. We have community. Let us begin together and be here for one another, be a sanctuary for folks in the storm, for the storm to come, and for anyone who seeks refuge. With that spirit, I invite us all to rise in body or spirit and sing together our gathering hymn, Wo Ya Ya, written by Ghanaian drummer Sol Amarifi, and the title song of the 1971 album by Osibisa, a musical group of Ghanaian and Caribbean musicians, Wo Ya Ya is a labor song, frequently heard in the work camps throughout Central West Africa in the 70s and 80s. Let's sing together.
We come from and live on land considered sacred by many indigenous peoples, known as Bannock, Shoshone, Paiute, and many other tribes that lived here sustainably for thousands of years, inhabiting a vast region including much of Idaho.
We recognize the long history of the land, long before colonization, and acknowledge the ancient tribes whose names have been lost in history.
With this acknowledgement, we wish to demonstrate our commitment to dismantling the legacies of settler colonialism. We honor Indigenous peoples' connection to the land and support their right to sovereignty.
In the challenges of these truths, may we move through the world bringing justice in every way that we can, listening to the truths spoken to us by Native American peoples, making space for them to re-inhabit this place, and giving them back the resources they need to heal their communities.
Our spiritual theme for this month of January is living love through the practice of story. Today, we live that love that is at the center of the story of the civil rights movement, inspired by Dr. King, by hearing stories of 3 different justice movements, each with deep roots in Unitarian Universalism. And these are just some of the stories offered as spiritual nourishment for the road ahead. May they anchor us to our history of justice making and movement building and inspire us to keep on moving forward, never losing hope. For as we keep alive the vision of continuing to build the beloved community wherever we are. So as we enter this time of worship together, I invite us all to take a breath together. Fill your body with breath. Breathe, knowing that our breath connects us to one another, to our bodies, to our planet. Our breath offers us an opportunity to tune in to our spiritual center, to listen deeply to our heart's own longing. Thou art the song of my heart in the morning. Thou art the dawn of truth in my soul. Thou art the dew of the roses adorning. Thou art the woven whole. Thine is the grace to be steadfast in danger. Thine is the peace that none can destroy. Thine is the face of the need-riven stranger. Thine are the wings of joy. Thou art the deep, to the deep in me calling. Thou art a lamp where my feet shall tread. Thy way is steep past the peril of falling. Thou art my daily bread. Thine be the praise of my spirit uplifted. Thou art the sea to each flowing stream. Thine be the days that are gathered and sifted. Thou art the deathless dream.
Civil rights activist James Weldon Johnson wrote Lift Their Voice and Sing as a poem, which was set to music by his brother John Roseman Johnson in 1899. The song is now known as the Black National Anthem in America. It is a protest, a hymn, and a prayer of profound significance for our people. We lift every voice and sing to express ourselves. We lift every voice to show that we have strength in numbers and we will not be silent. We lift every voice and sing to be lifted, liberated, and free.
Freedom, the power to determine action without restraint. Freedom, the absence of or release from ties, obligations, or restrictions. Freedom, the ease or facility of movement or action. Freedom, frankness or boldness in manner or speech. Freedom, a political right. Until we are all free, none of us is free. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberation. God of our ears, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast
Our call to worship this morning is from the Reverend Douglas Taylor, and today we share it with voices from our community from across the generations.
Across the generations, we have carried the flame. We fought the injustice, sang the songs, spoke for truth, and built something lasting. We join in the line, and we carry the flame forward.
Across the generations, we are tending the flame. Hand in hand together, we share in the work of fighting injustice, singing the songs, speaking the truth, and we are here to build something lasting. We join in the line, and we carry the flame forward.
Across the generations, we have been nourished by this flame. We are singing new songs, breaking old barriers, sharing in the work. And as we find our own space in what has been, we are here to make space for the next person as well. We join in the line, and we carry the flame forward.
Across the generations, this flame comes to us. We are here for the songs, for the justice, for the community sharing the work. We are here now to build something new and lasting. We are ready for a new day together. We join in the line and we carry the flame forward. Come, let us worship together.
Thank you, generational readers. It was really beautiful to hear all of your voices up here. With our promise of building beloved community, we celebrate our commitments to be a community, a multi-generational community, a community of generosity and a community of care. And so I would like to invite all of our young people forward for our time for all ages this morning. This side over here, friends. Wow, look at this crew today, people. You are amazing. Look at this. Friends, maybe you've been hearing the grown-ups in your lives talking a little bit about what a hard time we're having in our country right now, especially this weekend. Because a person who has a history of lying and cheating and hurting others and breaking the law is going to be inaugurated as our next president of the United States tomorrow. And for the last year or so, we've heard him and his friends talk a lot about the plans that they have that include taking away a lot of people's rights and making many people leave this country, and things that have made the grown-ups in your life, a lot of us, feel really sad and disappointed and really scared. A lot of us, and so many of our ancestors, have worked so hard for such a long time to make this country more free and more fair and more equal for everyone, and now it feels like all that work just might be undone. And sometimes we might all wonder if that work is even worth it. If we keep going, is it even worth it? If maybe building a more just world might feel impossible. But Unitarian Universalists have never given up hope. We've always answered the calls for justice. And there's a song that we've sung for a long time when working together to do impossible things. And it's called We Shall Overcome. How many of you have heard that song before? This song was really important in the civil rights movement. Really important. Let's just remind ourselves, let's just sing the first little bit together, shall we? Can you sing with me? We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Again. We shall overcome someday. I know you want to go on. That's all we're going to do right now. But we're going to sing it all together a little bit later. But I'm going to pass it off to Travis now, who's going to tell us a really interesting story about this song.
All right. My mic on? Okay, great. So, this song, like so many songs that first developed among African American slaves, bits and pieces of different melodies and harmonies and parts of the song and lyrics, they were woven together through oral tradition. So people talked and sang this song, and it developed on its own. And you'll see up here, a song called We'll Overcome appeared as a protest song during the labor strike. But one of the strikers, this woman named Lucille Simmons, changed it forever when she began singing, instead of I will overcome, she said, we will overcome. And everybody changed the lyrics. And the lyrics changed over time to say, to add other words like, we shall organize. We will win our rights. We will win this fight. And then in 1947, Simmons taught it to a woman named Zilphia Horton, and that's this person right up here, who taught the song to students at the Highlander Folk School, where she served as the music director. And there was a famous folk singer named Pete Seeger. Yeah. And Guy Carawan. And they learned it and they made it famous. And they went out and sang the song for people. And it became one of the many anthems of what's called the Civil Rights Movement. And Dr. Luther King even quoted the song in his final speech before he was killed. It's a very powerful song, but there's a story about a set of lyrics that became part of the song that we're going to talk about today. It's a story of how We Shall Overcome got the line, "We are not afraid." This is how one of the founders of the Highlander Folk School, Miles Horton, told us. Here's a picture of that school. And that is Dr. Martin Luther King. See, the Highlander Folk School was a place where people went to learn how to work for justice. Just as some of the people feel threatened when others secure more rights and freedoms, there were people back then who were afraid they might lose out if other people earned fair wages, and black people were not segregated. One evening, while the Highlander Folk School was showing a movie to the youth choir, a group of angry white men staged a raid. The lights had all been turned off for a movie, and as the raiders stormed the doors in the school with flashlights in hand, the person in charge of the projector shut the movie off. That way, the youth choir members could hide more easily in the darkness. The raiders were angry, and they went in search of the youth choir members and the school teachers with their flashlights. And the kids and the school teachers hid themselves very well because they didn't know what would happen if they were found. It was dangerous and scary. Eventually, the raiders demanded that the lights be turned on, but they couldn't find anybody to turn the lights on. Smart. It was then that the teenage youth choir began to sing the song, "We Shall Overcome." The song gave them strength, and at one point the raiders yelled, "Shut up!" Rude. But one of the kids yelled back, "We aren't afraid." And the choir used that in the song. And that's when the verse, "We are not afraid," was born. Let's sing that song again together with the words, "We are not afraid." But it's okay. It's okay. okay to be afraid when things are scary. It's okay to cry, to go to our parents. It's okay to go to our friends, to the people we love for trust, for comfort, when things happen that make us feel scared. But there are times when we just need to be brave, to do the things not because they are safe, do things not because they're easy, but because it's just the right thing to do. Because our hearts tell us that these are the things we need to do. And sometimes in those moments, even if some part of us is afraid, we just might find that we are more filled with strength and courage than we ever thought. I wonder what happened that night at the Highlander Folk School. I wonder if that's possible for all of us. When we know we aren't alone, even if we're in danger, I wonder if it's a lot of people rooted in faith and justice, acting with courage, that will help us overcome someday. Let's sing it all the way through together. And I invite you to rise in body and spirit and sing it together. Hymn number 169 in your gray hymnal. And it'll also be on the screen. So let's all stand up. We're going to sing the song together.
Thank you, friends. We're going to bless you as you head out to your religious exploration classes. Let's sing our community blessing together.
When we give, we say yes to our story of generosity, yes to the natural cycle of abundance in our lives. We say yes to building beloved community within and beyond our walls, and we commit ourselves to do the work of justice and compassion for all people and our earth. Today, we share those gifts with our play partner, the Agency for the New Americas, as an expression of that commitment in living out our faith in the world. I invite the ushers to come forward. An offering will be gratefully received.
As our ushers bring our offering gifts forward, I invite all of us to join together in the collective blessing of our offering this morning. We bless these gifts so freely given. May generosity always be our companion as we walk the holy path toward ever greater compassion and beauty. Thank you. If you needed an abortion before Roe became law in 1973, there were very few options, even if you knew where to look. And we all know that many of those options were suspect, dangerous, and potentially life-threatening. Thousands of women died. But in the decade before Roe, there was an active network steadily growing, helping people access counseling and safe abortions. They were largely men, mostly white, a few of color, and they were all clergy. Pastors, ministers, rabbis, priests even. They called themselves the Clergy Consultation Service. And by 1973, roughly 1,400 clergy members across the country, which included many Unitarian Universalist clergy, had helped what's estimated to be hundreds of thousands of women access safe abortions. They were less concerned about the morality of abortion and more concerned with the safety, dignity, and access of those in need, responding in part to the thousands of women who were dying from unsafe abortions in the 1960s, and the disproportionate number of them being people of color. At that same time, at the Dallas Unitarian Church, Clergy were driving women to the Gulf of Mexico to get on boats and go out in international waters to have legal and safe abortions. The church was also a part of a national hotline that connected callers with clergy from the consultation service who would provide counseling and referrals to doctors. The Women's Alliance at the Dallas church decided they needed to study the issue of abortion. And so they met with two young lawyers, Sarah Weddington and Linda Coffey. Coffey was searching for plaintiffs to launch a case to take all the way to the Supreme Court, but as none of the Dallas UU women were pregnant at the time, they could not serve as plaintiffs. But the congregation's leaders encouraged lead attorney Sarah Weddington to pursue the case, even though she was just beginning her career and not sure she wanted to be involved in such a controversial issue. And eventually, the Dallas Women's Alliance filed an amicus brief in support of Roe for its Supreme Court hearing. Prior to Roe versus Wade, the Unitarian Universalist Association, our Unitarian Universalist Association, passed its first abortion rights statement of conscience in 1963 and continued to be on the front lines of reproductive justice and freedom in case after case, in protests, in public witness events, serving as clinic protectors and raising millions of dollars nationwide to support Planned Parenthood and other reproductive justice organizations. And we have never looked back, passing many additional statements of conscience and actions of immediate witness, now understanding that the position must encompass the whole of reproductive justice, the rights of people to have the children they want or none at all, to raise their children in safe and healthy environments, and to express their sexuality without oppression. When I first heard the story of the beginnings of Roe versus Wade being championed by the Women's Alliance from the First Unitarian Church in Dallas, I heard stories of them lending basement space to the lawyers to form their case as a kind of office space in the early days. It cemented in me this feeling of home that this religious tradition had sparked in me, fueling what would forever become a deep connection between my own spirituality and justice, a commitment to change making and to the movements of our time. Today, we continue that work in large ways and small ways, using our voices and our resources and our bodies to educate, advocate, and offer people the support and care they need to access critical health care. Because today we understand and embrace the call that abortion is health care. Amen. Amen. To commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Roe decision a couple of years ago, our neighbors at the Portland Unitarian Universalist Church raised over $4,000 for Idaho Interfaith Organizing for Reproductive Freedom. And with those funds, we have supported powerful abortion storytelling with the Pro-Voice Project. We've supported the Idaho Coalition for Safe Healthcare, the Idaho Abortion Rights Collective, and a network of medical providers advocating for access, patient rights, privacy, and evidence-based care. We've hosted self-managed abortion trainings, and we will be making a donation to the work of the upcoming ballot initiative for reproductive freedom. Unitarian Universalists have been on the vanguard of abortion rights and reproductive justice, and it is up to us to continue that legacy, to keep raising our voices, to keep building networks, to keep offering support and care to each other, to community, because we know that attacks on those rights will keep coming. Together, we can become one voice for freedom and autonomy, a voice that upholds sacred sexuality, a voice of dignity, a voice of partnership, a voice of creative resistance and empowerment. May it be so.
the sound of voices three, singing together in harmony, surrendering to the mystery. This is the sound of voices three. This is the sound of voices three. This is the sound of all of us, singing with love and the will to trust. Leave the rest behind, it'll turn to dust. This is the sound of all of us. This is the sound of all of us. This is the sound of one voice, one people, one voice, a song for every one of us. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of one voice.
Idaho is one of 18 states which does not specifically protect LGBTQ plus people from discrimination in employment and housing. Many people don't know that to this day, under Idaho state law, it remains legal for a business to refuse to serve or do business with a person simply because they are gay or transgender. For more than 15 years, advocates have been working to add the words, advocating and pushing lawmakers to amend our Constitution's Human Rights Act. And still to this day, lawmakers have refused. Community leaders had been working for years prior to 2010 to educate lawmakers on the experiences of living as gay or trans person and what it felt like to face harassment, bullying, violence, loss of a job, or refusal of business services in Idaho in an effort to humanize the issue. Led by former Senator Cole LaFavor, the first and only out gay elected official to serve in our state legislature, a new group was formed, undertaking a series of protests and civil disobedience direct actions at the legislature. They were determined to ensure that the violence and the despair that Idaho adults and teens faced every day in our state would not go ignored. Many folks in this congregation joined with other faith communities, community leaders, and activists for this campaign, which led to more than 120 arrests over multiple protests, some people being arrested 5, 6, 7 times. They blocked the doors to the Senate chamber and later to the governor's office. They filled each floor surrounding the rotunda with T-shirts saying add the words and holding signs. Many signs showed photographs of queer people across the generations who had died by suicide. And at each protest, the crowd stood silently with their hands covering their mouths, as a symbol of a community who had been silenced. In an interview after one of the protests and arrests, then Senate Majority Leader Bart Davis said this: "The day will come when Idaho will take a more active role than it is currently taking." Finally, after all the demonstrations and arrests, after tireless coalitions and relationship building with Republican support, the Senate granted a hearing for a bill in January of 2015. During public testimony, which lasted 21 hours, over 2 full days, gay and trans people told stories of discrimination, harassment, and violence in Idaho. Allies and religious leaders spoke, begging legislators to use their conscience and compassion. The vote in the 17-member House committee fell along party lines, with all 13 Republicans voting no, thus killing the bill. It has been 10 years since that hearing, and the legislature has never allowed another bill to be introduced in committee, despite efforts from the public and Democrats. And in those 10 years, we have not seen any kind of hopeful actions of moral conscience and compassion, but rather continued attacks on our trans and queer community, denying them more rights. Instead of adding the words and protecting the rights of LGBTQ+ community, this week, our legislature will hear a bill asking the Supreme Court to reverse its protections of same-sex marriage, to take away legal rights already implemented. That is most certainly a stepping stone on the path to tyranny and fascism. And that was the first bill out of the legislature this session, a portent certainly of more to come. On this eve of the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, I am reminded of MLK's response to gradualism. When leaders would say that the demands of the civil rights movement were too much all at once and too fast, and that we needed to slow down and have some patience, much like Senator Davis's remarks, Dr. King had some words to say about all that. In his letter from Birmingham jail, he wrote, "We know through painful experience that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Frankly, I have yet to engage in a direct action campaign that was well-timed in the view of those who have not suffered unduly. For years now, I have heard the word wait. This wait has almost always meant never. We must come to see with one of our distinguished jurists that justice too long delayed is justice denied." And in his I Have a Dream speech, he proclaimed, "We have also come to this hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism." Words that still ring prophetically true today. One of the Add the Words activists at that time, and still today, transgender advocate Diane Piggott reflected, "They know what is right and wrong. They just don't want to do it because it is uncomfortable." A week from this Tuesday, on January 28th, it will mark the 10th anniversary of that hearing and its devastating outcome. The Add the Words organization is hosting a day of resistance and radiance to mark the moment and its unbelievable, unjust lack of action from our legislature. There will be an action at the Capitol at noon, a reenactment of silent demonstrations of 10 years ago, no arrests, and there will be an evening event to honor community leaders to reflect and connect and care for one another. I tell you this not just as an announcement about a community event we are supporting, but as a call for justice, a chance for all of us to show up in solidarity, to be allies and activists, to show our beloveds how important they are and how much their lives matter. This is a chance for them, for us to fight for them and with them and on behalf of our UU values of human dignity, of justice, equity, of compassion and transformation. What I love about our UU faith is that we have a long history of social justice work. It is woven into the fabric of our theology and religious identity. Unitarian Henry David Thoreau's writing on civil disobedience sparked movements across the globe. We have been committed movement makers and movement builders, not shying away from the tension and conflict, but willing to bring our bodies and voices to the fore, to stand up and show up for community against injustice. When Dr. King put the call out for people of faith to come to Selma, Unitarian Universalists came out by the hundreds. When the call to stand in solidarity with Standing Rock's water protectors was issued, Unitarian Universalists came by the hundreds. When the Quakers put a call together at the border to protest Trump's border policies and family separation, UUs again came out in the hundreds. Many were arrested. We are a people of sanctuary and resistance. We may not be able to save our democracy yet, but we can still have a voice. We can still offer our protection, care, and love to those in harm's way. We can fight like hell to save our beloveds and be a place of refuge from the inevitable storms. We can walk hand in hand singing, "We are not afraid." We can be loud and proud. We can be angry and gentle. We can be the beloved community. Please join me. Let us make it so. Amen. Invite us all into a spirit of prayer and meditation. I invite you to take a few grounding breaths with me. Breathing is going to be important for us in the coming days, weeks, and years. Let's always remember that our breath is power. Our breath is power for our voice, for our bodies, for each other, for community, grounding us in all that is possible. This prayer is a blessing for justice and equity from Dr. Catherine House, the Meadville Chair and Professor of Practical Theology. Spirit of life and love, holy mystery. Far too often, for far too long, the scales have been lopsided, already decided. This is a blessing for those who refuse, and will refuse to wait out a world unjustly weighted. This is a blessing for those who know in their bones that there is a more that is flourishing, without extraction, flourishing unencumbered, equity defiant of greed, refusing to funnel possibility into bias or bigotry as the only rule of law and love, land and time, space and place. Equity defined as plenty, good, fair, abundant. Justice made of courage says, yes, it was that way. Yes, it will stop, makes restitution, bears witness, believes weeping. Believes weeping. Does not sacralize suffering, says, I'm sorry. Says, what is the way? Changes course, does it. Puts its money where its mouth is, intentions infleshed. This is a blessing for those who are already showing up one more time. And yet, and still, and even then, when there is nothing but weariness, may there be others to lean on the other side, to come alongside, toss off, sling aside, flip over, right side up. This is a blessing for all of us. In the name of all that is holy, we pray. Amen. I invite us to rise in body or spirit and sing together hymn 170 in our gray hymnal, a hymn written originally after the death of Harvey Milk by Holly Near, We Are a Gentle, Angry People. I invite you to place your hands over your heart for our closing blessing. Friends, all I have to say to you right now is to remember each other, to reach out to care for community in any way and every way that you can. That is the work of justice before us in these coming days, weeks, and years. Let us continue to be the gentle, angry people, building the beloved community, singing, loving, protesting for our lives and for the lives of our beloveds. Blessed are we all. Go in peace.